The government has defended its decision to allow hundreds of thousands of students in England to return to university for the new term, despite several outbreaks of coronavirus on campuses. Thousands of students have had to be confined to their rooms, but the Culture Secretary, Oliver Dowden, says it's important their studies aren't sacrificed because of the virus. A member of the government's advisory body modelling the spread of the pandemic says the consequences of allowing students back have been entirely predictable. Dan Johnson reports now from Manchester.
For the student in need, there's one emergency service that always delivers. Parents have stepped in when supermarket slots ran out.
It's just really rough at the moment, and we're just really disheartened by the whole entire situation.
But these first-year nursing students say they're already rationing food.
People wanted to drop out. We're not getting the right uni experience.
No,
and we're not talking about that of going out and partying. We're not getting the right education.
We've paid so much for our accommodation and for university. People are really struggling, especially with like anxiety and obviously depression, because they've been told that they're locked up. So basically it's like claustrophobic.
Max got a family drop-off on the third day of a fortnight in isolation here. Do you think there might come a time where you need to take him home?
Oh, potentially. Potentially, if he...
If it was an option and he wanted to and he felt uncomfortable here, then yeah.
And while case numbers are low so far, there are concerns about how this is playing out.
It's not the law. If enough of you come out, they're not going to do anything.
From people in the street and politicians.
Students have been done over on their A-levels. They've been done over on Freshers' Week. The government's now threatening to lock them up at university, and very worrying for them. When they graduate, we may be looking at long-term youth unemployment.
It's no surprise that students living on top of each other will share the virus, and scientific advisors did predict university spikes.
They showed quite clearly that the risk areas were particularly first-year students in halls of residence, as well as face-to-face teaching. So this was very predictable, and it was modelled.
9k for what? A question mark over fees paid for courses moving increasingly online. The government says universities are doing what's needed to keep students and communities safe.
We're doing that in order to reduce the spread of the disease, enable them to go back at all. And I think it's important for students not to have to give up a year of their life by not going to university. And they are going to university and paying the fees accordingly.
Of course, this is no start to the new term for these students, and there are likely to be others who suffer similar disruption. But what's the alternative? There are no good options here, really, unless everyone's to be denied even the chance of a university experience this year. And in Newcastle, these are the latest arrivals.
I still think there'll be plenty going on. It won't be normal, obviously, but I still think I'll have a good time.
I'm excited, but quite nervous just because you don't really know what to expect.
And then Sunday morning I found out that I was positive.
But at the Murano halls of residence in Glasgow, Tessa has the virus. She's one of around 1,000 isolating across Scotland.
The reason why it's spreading out of Murano is because people from other unis, or people who don't even go to uni, were coming to Murano for a night out, which it was ridiculous.
Back in Manchester, the university's sorting food and essentials as cases start to appear in other places. Students had a tough time getting here, and the start of term everywhere looks tricky. Dan Johnson, BBC News in Manchester.
Well, our political correspondent Chris Mason is here with me. Chris, we're going to see this week an attempt by Parliament to take more of an active role in dealing with these COVID restrictions being implemented.
Yeah, there's a growing restlessness from around 50 Conservative MPs, Clive, and opposition parties at what they see as being sidelined in the decision-making process around the coronavirus measures that the government has introduced. One MP describing it as the biggest handover of power that anyone can remember to the government, to the executive from Parliament. Another saying that MPs feel increasingly helpless. So on Wednesday, they hope they have the chance to force the government to consult Parliament before any new restrictions are brought in. Now, ministers say, look, we have to have the capacity to act swiftly, and we have sought to engage Parliament. MPs want more than that. They want an actual say.